welcome to Studio 5. This week we are taking you from the big screen with Cats to the stage with C.S. Lewis and to the small screen with Little House on the Prairie. So let's get right to it and begin this week's countdown of the best headlines in uplifting entertainment. At number 5.
Just believe that it's already done.
Sunday mornings with Kanye West are still going strong.
Sunday's service kicked off in January of this year. Every week, Kanye performs alongside a gospel choir and live band. He even delivers a sermon and has a guest sermon as well.
But the first formal sermon only just recently happened.
Someone say, check your circle.
With longtime Kardashian family friend and pastor Rich Wilkerson Jr. paying a visit to the growing gathering.
I don't know what the rest of the week looked like, but today, on this Sunday, you're in a place full of grace, and you're in a place full of faith, and you're connected to something bigger. But here's Jesus with his circle. And when they should be comforting him, notice what he's doing. He's comforting them.
At number 4, next to this famous movie line,
my name is Bond.
Bond.
It's Bond. Bond. It's Bond. It's Bond. James Bond.
Is this famous movie ride. And now,
you may never play James Bond in the movies, but you can own his car. The Aston Martin DB5 from Goldfinger and other films is going on the auction block, complete with working gadgets, including a switch that flips the license plate from British to French to Swiss, and a bulletproof shield. Sotheby's expects the Aston Martin to sell for between $4 and $6 million when it hits the block next month.
And so begins our countdown for this week. We'll pick it back up at number 3 in just a little bit. Cats is now a Broadway musical turned Hollywood live action feature film. It stars Jennifer Hudson, Taylor Swift, James Corden, Idris Elba, and more. It won't hit theaters until December, but Studio 5 has this first look.
My connection to the arts is music. I grew up singing in the church. That's how we communicate, that's how we relate.
My first memories of performance go back to when I was in Pennsylvania growing up. My favorite thing was getting to be theatrical, to tell a story, and I've always brought that sort of narrative element to my live shows.
I was just obsessed with singing, I was obsessed with dancing, but it started off with me in the kitchen, with my socks on, trying to do the moonwalk. And I think that you need to choose something that you're so obsessed with, you just want to do it all the time.
I was cast in 1981, just before we opened. I snapped my Achilles tendon, and I thought that that was my history with Cats. But it turns out not to be.
When I first heard I was going to be in Cats, woo, instantly I felt the pressure.
This musical is timeless.
I just remember loving it. So when Cats became a movie, obviously I jumped at the chance.
I think it could really only be done by a director like Tom Hooper. He understands the spectacle of Cats.
At the center of this incredibly entertaining, comedic, fantastical musical is a very timely story about the importance of inclusion and redemption.
I think it just speaks really powerfully to everyone. There are so many emotions.
And we've got to update it in ways that I think are just so great. I came right off of a stadium tour and went right into rehearsals.
Tomorrow I start to sing my big number. Ta-da, show business.
Directing Cats is like directing a group of world-class athletes. People like Les Twins, or possibly the most famous hip-hop dance duo. And Frankie Hayward is such a fine, he's one of the best dancers in the world, as principal of the Royal Ballet.
My favorite part of ballet and dancing is telling the story without words and how you can say that with just your eyes or your face or your body. I think it's amazing.
We're also lucky enough to have Andy Blankenbuehler, who choreographed Hamilton.
When you see people that are at the top of their game doing it, you raise your bar as well.
People coming together through all different corners of entertainment.
You have some of the best hip-hop dancers, Royal Ballet, some of the best tappers in the world.
Everybody's working really long hours, rehearsing every day, and it's fun.
The designer says, oh my God, what is this? It was so spectacular. It's just so much fun to play in.
The scale of this film is huge, 3 or 4 times bigger for the cat perspective.
It's a massive undertaking, a kind of Alice in Wonderland experience.
Tom's pairing them with a kind of level of technology which I don't think has ever been used before.
We've used digital fur technology to create the most perfect covering of fur.
These are people, but they're cats, and this is kind of blowing my mind. There is nothing else like it.
This is a moment for you to step into a world that's completely designed to entertain you.
I just was like really excited and so honored to get to be a part of this.
This film is an event.
And Cats is in American theaters just in time for Christmas. You can catch it December 20th.
Still ahead on Studio 5.
Marriages are most likely. At one time...
This actor breathes new life into a satirical masterpiece. Brent Harris joins us next.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
We're back. Welcome back to Studio 5. The countdown of the best headlines in uplifting entertainment continues now.
At number 3.
How much time? You got to be miles away from here before dawn.
This photograph of Harriet Tubman praying is a powerful hint of what we can expect from the film Harriet.
God don't mean people to own people. I would give every last drop of blood in my veins until this monster called slavery is dead.
The extraordinary tale of Harriet Tubman's escape from slavery and transformation into an American hero hits theaters in November. But here's a Studio 5 sneak peek.
Fear is your enemy. Whoa, easy now.
I'm gonna be free or die.
I don't know if you know how extraordinary this is, but you have made it 100 miles to freedom all by yourself. Would you like to pick a new name to mark your freedom?
Harriet Tubman, you are welcome here anytime. If I'm free, my family should be too. I made up my mind, I'm going back.
At number 2.
Not a hole too deep, because love is not deeper still.
That's Kirk Franklin on stage. But who should play the Music Man in his new biopic?
Yeah, we're trying to get Emmanuel Lewis to play me from Webster.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm being funny.
I was gonna say.
There's been talk of a Kirk Franklin film for quite a few years.
John Singleton came up to me at an award show and said, and this several years ago, he said, "You know who told me to do a movie on your life?" He said, Prince.
Wow.
Told me I need to do a movie in your life. Like, no cap. That like happened to me.
Wow.
But talk turned into filmmaking when Sony and movie maker Devon Franklin signed on, recently breaking the news on social media.
We about to change the game. This brother has allowed me to produce a movie on his life. Thank you, man.
They are finishing up the script now,
Okay.
and I think that the script kind of, dictates at what era. Now, of course, I can't play, as little as I am, I can't play Lil Kurt.
We have just one more headline in this week's countdown. We're going to get to it a little bit later in the show. C.S. Lewis's satirical masterpiece, The Screwtape Letters, has taken readers to the depths of hell and back for more than 75 years. It's now taking the stage in a one-man production by Max McLean. He began the Screwtape Letters stage play in 2006, and it is still going strong, traveling the country, showing what humanity looks like through the eyes of a demon. Studio 5 caught up with the actor in the title character, Uncle Screwtape. Meet Brent Harris.
Aim is to guide your patient away from those with whom spiritually healthy, happy, and fertile marriages are most likely. At one time, we directed the male taste to the statuesque and aristocratic beauty.
Take us inside for those who have not seen C.S. Lewis's Screwtape Letters. It's pretty much all on you for the most part. Tell us about the story.
Well, the play is a dramatic adaptation of C.S. Lewis's novel, The Screwtape Letters, which is a series of letters. And C.S. Lewis imagined a devil, not the devil, he's a senior devil in the bureaucracy of hell. And he's basically writing letters to his nephew, who just graduated from the Tempter's Training College and is going to go out there and tempt human beings. And so Screwtape is a senior devil, and he's teaching his nephew how to corrupt human souls. So it's a series of sort of lessons. And I think the achievement of this production is to make it an interesting, dramatic, entertaining story. So the creators of this production have really found the story in the book. So that folly, cowardice, and general falseness were at premium. It's a story from a Christian point of view, but it's very rich in ideas and human psychology. So it has a real appeal for a diverse audience.
What's it like to be the devil? Or a devil?
It's a devil. It's really fun, I have to say.
Okay.
It's kind of like therapy. You know, you get up there and you get to express all these negative, dark emotions, sort of releasing these feelings I think we all have.
I was going to say, if we were to be honest with ourselves, we've all gone through these feelings at some
And I
point.
think that's the interesting part of the play, is that the audience, sometimes they identify with him, other times they're sort of repelled by him, and then a lot of times you agree with Screwtape, you know, with what he's saying. And he's very funny and he's very charming. So it's a very complicated relationship the audience has with him.
How long have you been doing it? And I don't even know if you can keep count of how many performances you had. So
I've done it about 250 times or so. I've lost track. Yeah.
What's it like, or why do you think this seems to be a resurgence, or it's really resonating with audiences again? Why?
I don't, you know, I do think it's universal, and I think that it's sort of timeless, you know. I mean, it's dealing with a lot of just like how do you resist temptation? How do you be a good person? How do you sort of tame your own sort of human impulses sometimes to do things? How do we make our own hell out of life, our own life, you know, every day? Screwtape is very canny about human psychology. He understands how people tick.
How would you say that this work has changed you or your perspective?
People often ask me that, and they ask me, how has this affected you spiritually? Because this play is specifically about spiritual warfare. For me, all theater is spiritual. You know, I have to play this character who's a bad guy, and I have to understand him and be inside of him, his experience, and not judge him. Theater is about coming together as a communion of people and witnessing something together and having your own response to it and sharing it. And you know, theater comes from religion, you know. That's where it comes from. It comes from early church services where they dramatized things and then people elaborated on that and took it out in the street. So theater and spirituality, I think, are very connected.
Brent Harris, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Now be sure to keep an eye out for Brent Harris and the Screwtape Letters. It could be coming to a stage near you. Before we go to break, it is time to say it in pictures. Here's this week's Studio 5 Snapshot.
You may not instantly recognize the face of Russi Taylor, but the voice?
I'm as hazy and as crazy as a daydream.
Taylor gave voice to Minnie Mouse for more than 30 years. The 75-year-old actress died this week. These memorable photos with Minnie are this week's Studio 5 Snapshot. Still ahead.
You don't need anything right away. If I were you, I'd just put the money in the bank and let it collect some interest.
Life lessons from Little House. We head to the real-life Walnut Grove to sit down with a member of the cast.
So you're Baby Grace from Little House on the Prairie. How does it feel?
Meet Wendy Lou Lee next on Studio 5.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
And welcome back to Studio 5. We have made it to the final headline in this week's countdown of uplifting entertainment. Here is number 1.
At number 1, Canada. Rapper Lecrae captures the attention of fans with his music.
Joked about your 1 million followers on Instagram, but I imagine you take even that platform seriously in terms of pouring into people.
Absolutely. I think, you know, obviously no one's going to do it perfectly, but there's a sense of trying to steward that well.
Most recently posting this picture with Chance the Rapper and his mom, along with an uplifting message for those feeling discouraged and falling away from their faith. He writes, "Some feel strongly about faith not being legitimate. I want you to know I love you all. I'm glad you're here. I have zero desire to condemn and 100% desire to show you love." He goes on to say, "I just want to encourage anyone out there wrestling that God knows your situation, He knows your pain, and that your life isn't perfect, but He hasn't given up on you. It's all part of a greater story."
Any opportunity to get involved with something where we're continuing that journey of pouring ourselves into others and also encouraging them to pour themselves into others is something that is extremely important, and I need to be involved in.
Now that wraps this week's countdown and brings us to a small screen celebration. You know, it's been 45 years since Little House on the Prairie went from being books to a hit television show. And Studio 5 traveled all the way to the real-life Walnut Grove, Minnesota to see the celebration firsthand and to chat with one of the stars who's naturally all grown up.
Thought I might tell you a story.
Oh, Oh, please, Pa.
The pioneering stories of Laura Ingalls Wilder gave birth to best-selling books and the classic television series Little House on the Prairie. Here in her real-life Walnut Grove, Minnesota, residents and fans celebrate Laura Ingalls and Little House every year. The show's cast members also pay a visit to meet and greet their loyal fans.
Ah, you were going to wait until you're 18, young lady.
Twin sisters Wendy and Brenda shared playing the role of Baby Grace.
So you're Baby Grace from Little House on the Prairie. How does it feel?
Well, I guess we're kind of used to it. It's been about 40 years, but being here in Walnut Grove, it's a little bit more real because you have all these people like doting over you and wanting to meet you and hug you. And yeah, I would say it's probably one of the greatest blessings of my life.
We sat down with Wendy Lou Lee at Walnut Grove's English Lutheran Church, where Pa's bell still rings in the church tower.
So you and your sister were both so young during the filming of Little House on the Prairie. What real memories do you have of doing it?
Well, you know, it's really hard to say because we were watching it, you know, before it was even on reruns. So we were watching it at 4 years old. We were also hearing stories from my mom. So I don't even know if we can really separate what we remember, what we've heard, and what we've seen. So I mean, people would say, what was Michael Landon like? And I would say, I just remember every scene that we were in together.
Little House on the Prairie shined a bright spotlight here on tiny Walnut Grove for 9 seasons. That's some 210 episodes and even thousands more life lessons, many of them still relevant today.
What cost $15 that I need?
Well, maybe you don't need anything right away. If I were you, I'd just put the money in the bank and let it collect some interest. Then if you see something you want, you take out as much money as you need.
Yeah.
Wendy's book will be available everywhere in just a matter of days. It's a devotional you want to be sure to read daily.
In just a matter of moments. Music inspiration from Tasha Cobbs Leonard. That's next on Studio 5.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
Come home to the Southern Gospel Station from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern Gospel favorites. CBN Southern Gospel. Available now at cbnradio.com.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man, come.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Welcome back to Studio 5. Music fuels the production of this show each week. And this week, we turn to Tasha Cobbs Leonard and Jimmy Cravity. You Know My Name. You Know My Name. With that, we're almost out of time for this episode of Studio 5. So we're looking ahead right now to what's coming up for you next week.
Brian Banks signed with the Atlanta Falcons back in April of 2013. The linebacker's football career is short, but his journey to the NFL is long, filled with twists, turns, and pitfalls.
I was 16 the day my life changed for the worst. 16 when I became a product of the penal system. 16 when I was wrongfully accused of rape. 16 when the courts tried me as an adult. My final day of freedom, I was 16.
Banks is now an executive producer on the major motion picture, telling his story, with actor Aldis Hodge in the leading role.
By the time I was 16, I had the attention of the NFL.
Don't move!
But I was accused of something I didn't do. The system doesn't care about me.
But you didn't deserve what happened to you.
I got a claim.
That's next week. Hope you'll join us for that and so much more. Before we say goodbye, we have one final word for you from Little House on the Prairie star Wendy Lou Lee.
Time spent being angry with you is such a waste. By Carolyn Ingalls. Life can be full of relational conflicts. Our expectations are often unmet, and we let our disappointments turn to anger. This was true for Charles and Carolyn Ingalls, just as it's true for us. When Pa misses church one Sunday to rest and work in the fields, Ma is not happy, and she lets him know it. The days I regret the most are those when I lose my temper. So often it's with my husband or my kids. Why is it that the ones we love the most have to endure the worst of us? Most of the time, my anger doesn't do anyone any good. It's just a way to voice my disapproval of not getting what I wanted. When it's all said and done, the circumstances that upset us don't really matter. The backstory will soon be forgotten.
Wendy, that is a great final word for this edition of Studio 5 and this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you, and then come on back and see where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.